Alright, welcome back to the Reloading Closet. This video will be going over trimming, chamfering, and deburring, as well as removing military crimp, although I'm not 100% sure if the brass that I have here actually have already been processed for the military crimp, but we'll find out. So to start out, we have our Rcbs TrimMate Pro. Alright, this thing does pretty good job at trimming. Has a universal shell holder, so I don't have to change out shell holders or anything like that. And then it does have a pilot here. I believe this one is probably a 26 caliber, 6.5 Grendel or Creedmoor, I think was the last one I was doing. Yep. So see there. Get it to focus. I got 26. So go into my handy dandy toolbox and find the 22 pilot, because we are doing 223. Right. And here it has a set screw. Push it in there and just snug it up a little bit. You don't have to wrench down on it. You want to strip the threads out or break your Allen wrench or anything like that. So we'll start out with our first piece of brass. I do believe in my last video I showed that this one was within spec at 17.48. Our trim to length is 1.750. Tell you what, we're gonna just go with that, okay? But like I said, max case length, according to the book, would be 1.760. So your range usually ranges about 20 thousandths. So the shortest you're going to want the casing to be would be 1.740. Most recommendations is 10 thousandths off of your max case length, in this case, which would be 1.750. This one's at 1.748, which is close enough. We're doing 223 brass. We're not precision loading this stuff where I don't. Okay, there we go. Gotta adjust that. So how we do this, we loosen up this. I know it's not in the shot, but hopefully that'll stay there. Alright. Get in there. This thing is tight. I really cinched down on that thing. So that'll allow this to move freely. Okay, this is your gross adjustment. Alright, and then this piece right here, which is still locked in, is your fine adjustment. So you'll get it in. Alright, got it in like that, and then push that all the way up against there, get it to a point where you can get a good sight or good line up on that locking screw. Go ahead and tighten it down. Okay, so then you spin it. Shouldn't do any cutting on this one because it's already set to length. It did a little bit of trimming. I think it just squared it off a little bit, but you can see there. Okay. We'll do the same with this one. Just a slightest little trim there again. Not much. Alright. In there. And then the universal holder, it's nice because you don't have to put another shell holder in there, but it is kind of finicky. So what I'll do is I'll put the brass in there, and then I can push down this lever that locks it and unlocks it. Okay, you get it locked in there, and you'll see how that pilot will guide into the brass. What I'll do is I'll loosen it, push it in, and then lock it. And that really sets it center. Right, and you just start turning. You can see it start trimming the brass off there. And then as soon as it gets nice and easy, you'll feel it break loose and then more tension on it. And then, boom, trimmed. So we'll pull out our caliper. Make sure we're 0. Put it in there. 1.746, so a little short. Which in this case it's fine, like I said, as long as you're not getting over max case length, and as long as your case lengths are all pretty consistent, you'll be good to go. And if you are looking for a specific, if you really want that to be an exact certain case length, you can come in and make adjustments to your fine tuner. This one has gradations in thousandths, so if we wanted to add, 2 thousandths or 4 thousandths to our overall cartridge length or case length, then we can just spin that towards it a little bit and add a little bit more length. Right, next one. Sit here and spin it. Feel it free up. Pull it out. Your calipers. 1.747. 0.746. There we go. Alright. Now, I do 50 rounds at a time. It just kind of helps with the fatigue of everything. It makes it easier to stay focused on what you're doing. But even after 50 rounds and spinning, this thing kind of wears your arm out. So I invested in something like the camera angle, right? And an electric screwdriver. Just take this thing. You don't want to push too hard, just let the cutter do the work. And of course, my electronic screwdriver just died, so these are all going to get turned by hand. Now, one thing I did notice when my electric screwdriver died the last time, I was like, well, let me just get my screw gun and use that. It worked pretty good. I think the pressure ended up forcing this piece right here, like it made the trimming ram move a little bit, and I ended up trimming some casings a little bit shorter than what I really wanted to. So I stay away from using my screw gun on this particular setup. Now that they make trimmers that can be used in the screw gun, I've looked into them. Something about this one just particularly works for me. I like it seems like I can be a little bit more precise with this. And spinning, 50 rounds at a time. It's not too bad. Your shoulder will definitely get a little fatigued, but it's not terrible. Alright, so got them all trimmed up to the proper length. I'll just pick out a random one here. Right there, 1.746. That'll work for 556/223 brass. So this thing right here will clean out the outside edges, or debur, and then this right here cleans out the inside of the case, or chamfer, and then this one right here will clean out the military primer crimp if it has one. So as you can, so I'll go ahead and put this thing on. Hopefully it's not too loud for the camera. But take it down. Yep. You can hear it remove, little brass shavings getting taken off. You can feel the resistance give way. Now I always keep this thing plugged in when I start the prime, especially with the ones with the military brass. Because if I don't get that primer just enough, I just flick this thing on and clean out that pocket again. You can see how that edge cleans up real nice. Okay, so we're back. Yeah, dogs went nuts. It's now 6 hours later, and I get back to finishing this up. So we're chamfering and deburring again, another one. Check it. Nice things up. And that had a crimp in it. You can always feel it. This is one of those machines that is more of a luxury versus a necessity. Like I showed in my first video, you could use a tool like this to chamfer and debur, but obviously, like I said, that will not remove military crimp. There is another way. You can there's another way to remove military crimp. This is considered reaming, so using something to shave out the crimp in there. The other way is swaging, and it's something you do on the press, and you essentially press the crimp out, or just reshaping the brass, kind of like sizing, in a way that just gets rid of the crimp. I just realized that I'm not polishing or cleaning out the primer pockets. That's what this brush right here is for. Cleans it out. It's actually a fun very long. These are pretty clean. There we go. Now that one's got a little bit of crud in there. You just take it and let it spin around, move it around, different pitches, and cleans it out pretty good. There's a little speck in there. If you're OCD, you can work on getting it out. But if you tumble right, you don't have to worry about it. going with these. Okay, down to our last 5 rounds. We should go pretty quick. I think they're mainly Frontier, which we'll bring up. Yeah, it's Frontier. You see this crimp. Frontier's got a heavy crimp. It's actually a brand made by Hornady, if I remember correctly. Decent ammo, good range, Lincoln ammo. So the same 50 pieces of brass is the same brass that's going to stick with me through this whole process. This is how I do it. I'll take 50 pieces and I'll go through the whole process that you've seen so far as sizing, trimming, chamfer, debur, print removal, all that, and then I'll load them. Still doing a little bit of load development for my AR. So what I intend to do is separated by head stamp, and I wish I'd have paid attention. I forgot that there was some Frontier in this batch of brass that was tumbled. I'd have pulled out, I made sure I pulled out all of Lake City. That way I'm just load testing with the same kind of brass. You typically want to load test or develop all your loads on one kind of brass. Especially if you're doing, bolt gun, precision shooting, brass head stamp plays a significant role. If you're just loading for an AR, 300 blackout, 5.56, not necessarily precision. You definitely want it to be accurate, but not exactly precise. And not that big a deal, but you want to remove all the variables when you're doing your load development. So starting out with all the same kind of brass, figuring out your load, and then going from there. At that point, that's a heavy crimp right there. What the heck is... Interesting. It's federal. Where was that? Right, load. So, as soon as you get the load figured out using that one kind of brass, get it nice and dialed in, you shouldn't see too many variances when you start changing brass head stamps. Now, a lot of people, they'd want to stick hardcore and use only that kind of brass. I did some load testing for my 300 blackout using mainly Lake City brass. I played around with a little bit of Armscore. What was the other one I used? CBC. S&B, different kinds of brass, and then loaded them all with the same load. And luckily, maybe I did just get lucky, and they're all. It's still accurate. It doesn't throw off the load. Now that's off. You can hear me a lot better. So after that process is done, that's only 50 pieces of brass. See how the crimp gets the most. There's actually quite a few rounds in there that crimp had not been removed. So, what's that? So in there, now you've got 50 pieces of brass ready for priming. All trimmed to length. It's kind of tough to see it, but all right. Well, this has been the trimming, chamfering, deburring, crimp removal video. Hope you enjoyed it. I gotta cut it down a little bit. This one looks like it's going to be a lot longer, but I'm going to cut it down quite a bit. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Hey, they'll be going up on YouTube, so I'll post a link for the YouTube channel on the page. But go ahead and go over to YouTube, like and subscribe. Hey, for the people that have been reloading a lot longer than I have, hey, if you see anything that I'm messing up on, please. I got thick skin. You can tell me.
I know a lot of people are harping me on that right there. The way I see it, I'm not loading ammo at this point, so being able to enjoy an adult beverage and support my friends behind enemy lines, you know, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But till next time.